Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope y'all are doing well this morning. Let me check out over here and see who's hanging with us this morning. We have Mr. Darren Burris. Happy Friday. Hope you're doing well, Darren. Troy Pritchard's in the house. Good morning, Troy. Thank you for the thumbs up. Mark Lindsay's here this morning. 55. Looking at rain again, high of 74. Yeah. We got a pretty good, well, I guess it's good forecast. It is if you don't like rain, I guess. We got a little chance of rain today, which I don't think is going to happen in my area. I think it might happen up north of me. And all next week they said it's going to be hot, muggy, that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's all right. Thomas Grimm's in the house. Good morning, Thomas. High 85 in central Illinois. Yep. Larry Galt's here. Good morning, Larry. Hope you're doing well. Leo's here. Good morning, Leo. TGINF. Yes, sir. Sean's here. Good morning, Sean. Clyde CNC's here this morning. How you doing, Clyde? Yep, another week gone by. It's gone by pretty quick here. Orlando Stoots, good morning. Hot week comes to an end. Looks like weekend and all next week will be in the 80s. Oh, yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. George Rothfuss is here. Good morning, George. Kevin Ells, good morning. And Lonnie's here this morning. How you doing, Lonnie? Good to see you. There's Mr. JR. Says good morning, everyone. Hope all is well. Hope you're doing well, JR. Mr. Rubottom is here. Good morning. Kenneth is here. We got a bunch of folks here this morning. Good morning, Kenneth. And also Bruce is here. Good morning, Bruce. Good to see y'all. I had to make my little trip to Home Depot yesterday. And I have to say it wasn't half bad. I got my I always try to park near one of those places where they, the little spots where you're supposed to push the carts and then the guys will come out and get them. Because I usually, if I look up under there and under the contractor roof thing and there's no buggies or I don't spot one, I just go ahead and grab one and just take it in myself. That way I'll be sure and have one, because you don't want to go on in there because you never can find them. They always have them full of stuff or there isn't any once you get in there. So I grabbed one, headed in there, and I went kind of late yesterday afternoon. I guess it was probably about 4:30 or so when I got there. I thought, well, I should miss all the contractors and stuff. Anyway, go walking in there, and as soon as I go to turn down the aisle, now where I'm going is all the way towards the back of the store. But as soon as I turn, I glance down there and I can see they've still got those dadgum pallets all stacked in the way. But there was a guy right there on the end of that aisle in a vest, an orange vest. And I said, buddy, I said, I hate to bug you, but I said, I'm going to ask you anyway. I says, I need somebody to help get me some plywood out of there. I says, y'all keep that aisle full of stuff. And he was like super apologetic. He's like, yeah, I know. I don't know why they do that. You can't get anything out of there. And so he come down and helped me get a few sheets. And I was in and out of there pretty quick. I was pretty happy. That's about the easiest I've got in and out of there in a long time. And normally, I gripe about the place all the time, but used to they had the plywood up on, they've got like two big sections. Like they've got a bunch of rows, and then there's like an aisle, and then a bunch of rows on the back of the store. Well, they used to always keep the plywood in that first section. So you only had to go, you only had to push the buggy, you know, maybe 100 feet from the door to get the plywood. But now they've moved it, and they've put it all the way back there. And like I said, the aisle that's where they put the plywood, they decided that was a great place to stack all the. I don't know why they don't put that stuff out back or on the shelves or something. I don't know what the deal is. But anyhow, it irritates me because I don't expect to get any help, and I don't. I've gotten used to getting it myself, but at least make it easy where I can get to the stuff. But anyway, it's all good. Got some, and we're good for a while now. So what's anybody got planned for this weekend? Anybody got any big plans? Go work in your shop and do something or whatever? And also, I was going to ask if there's anybody here, and I know there might be a few of y'all in the chat. Let's see, we got about 16 or 17 watching. How many of y'all that are watching right now are people that have 3D printers and a CNC router? Raise your hand if you're one of those folks. Mark says Retail 101, put the popular items towards the back, so folks have to go past more items to get. I don't know about if that's the case with lumber or not, because it's all about the same, I would guess. And I don't know why they've decided to move it farther back. And I'm thinking maybe it's because they're not selling as much of it now. I don't know. Okay, Darren says he's got 2 3D printers and a Gatton. Okay. Well, my next question is there anybody who has used a 3D printer to make some kind of parts or components for a CNC router? Raise your hand if you've ever done that. LB says he's got a couple of children's puzzle rocking chairs to make. That sounds interesting. That sounds pretty cool. Leo says he's going to make Christmas toys on Saturday. Paint the living room ceiling on Sunday. All right. One of those doesn't sound like much fun. You want to you want to guess which one I think doesn't sound like much fun? Okay. Kenneth says he's owned a 3D printer since 2018, currently building a CNC. All right. Well, I just wondered. I watch all kinds of videos. I've watched just a little bit of everything. And I always see some of these really, I'm not going to say cheap, I'm going to be nice and say inexpensive CNC things, the little dinky ones. A lot of the parts on some of them, not all of them, are actually 3D printed stuff. And I was going to experiment with, this is my aluminum mount. This happens to fit a DeWalt 611. And I'm not going to have time to do it today because I got other stuff I got to do, but I might have time to rent because it's going to be a long print time, I think. But I'm thinking, because I haven't ever 3D printed a router mount or anything like that, but I have cut router mounts using my CNC router out of HDPE plastic. And it's they do okay. They're pretty stiff. So I was going to experiment and see, just print one for the heck of it, and then put it on one of my machines out there and just give it a shot and test it and see if it works. But I've seen lots of them that have um, different kind of router mount. Well, they call them spindle mounts because some of them have those little small spindles, like the 500 watt and under. Um, and I would guess that a 3D printed holder, if made properly, would be plenty to hold one of those. And I know they've made some other parts for 3D or for CNC routers too, with their 3D printers. In fact, I got to watching when I searched on there yesterday afternoon. I searched 3D printed router mounts, and it didn't really find just router mounts, but it found a bunch of videos that were people that were making a lot of their router out of 3D printed stuff. Most of them used the aluminum extrusion, the 80-20 type stuff for the main frame of it, but then did the a lot of the other components. And just since I've been printing stuff lately, and I've mentioned on here before that I'm pretty much everything I print now, I print 100% infill. I make it solid. I just don't like, and I guess it's because the stuff I'm making is, brackets and stuff that's not going to have a ton of weight on them, but it's not just something to set on a shelf and look pretty either. It's something that's going to be used. So, um, I think that if you print stuff at 100% and print it good, don't try to get too fast and, get good layer adhesion and all that, and just let it take however long it takes. I'm beginning to think you could make some pretty good parts out of 3D printed stuff. Let's see, George says he made the Mark Lindsay CNC alignment tools with the Delta 3D. Yeah, I think that's the Andrew Hague stuff. He's got them on Thingiverse if anybody wants to get those. In fact, he's got, I think he's got the spacer block things on there as well, and maybe a few other things. I don't know. I'd have to go look. But I haven't downloaded any of his stuff. But yeah, that's what George is talking about. JR says, I bet it'd be fine if you 3D printed it with 100% infill. I think it would too. In fact, I know the people that make the long mill. Now, JR, is there anything that's on a Onefinity that's 3D printed? Because some of that stuff I can't tell if it's metal or not. I think it's the main things that encapsulate the tubes for the front and the back. I think that's metal, if I'm not mistaken, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I know the folks at the long mill, and I did get the opportunity to see one of those the other day, one of the Mark ones. They have a printer farm, and they run the little things that hold the angle at the front and the back, the mounting brackets or whatever you want to call them. Those are 3D printed. So Now, I don't know what kind of infill. I don't know if they're solid. I don't know any of that. But okay, LB says infill is not as important as the wall count. Okay. Yeah. I just don't see how you could get it any better than if you just did it solid, though. Uh, I guess if you knew how to set up the yeah, I guess you could make it get the geometry right inside and get it probably as strong. Let's see. Larry said, "Oh yeah, Troy's reminding us that it's National Donut Day." Yeah, I'm trying to stay away from donuts. I eat bad enough without having a bunch of donuts. Although I did see a post on Facebook about that, and I'm like, oh, I got a Dunkin' Donuts right down the road from me, uh, and I'll be going right past it when I go to the UPS store today. So Larry says, "Does HTPE cut letters good? I need to find something that weathers good so that I can make a memorial piece for my brother-in-law." I don't know how long it would last outside. If you go, Larry, if you go to McMaster Car's website and look up HTP, they'll have a thing at the top of the page that gives you the specs and what it's good for and that kind of thing. You might find the answer to that question, or if you just Google it. But McMaster Car is usually where I get my HDPE. Not all the time, but that's usually where I get it. Klondike says, I do 5 to 6 walls, 2 millimeter top and bottom, 25% infill for a good solid print. All right. I might play around with my slicer because I drew this up yesterday. And it's a little bit, my camera just went wonky there for a second. I don't know what the deal is about that. Now I'm getting that stupid connection thing. Now it cleared up. Okay. Yeah, I drew this the other day, and it's a little bit different than this one. But I may play around with the slicer and do some settings like what you're talking about, Sean, and then versus the solid. I know the way I have it drawn currently, to do it solid, it says it's going to take right at 12 hours. And I don't know how much I could decrease the print time by trying to change it up. But I did change it from just playing around. I put 20% infill and then solid. And the difference in time is you save about 2 hours in time, but you also save about half as much material as what it was, like 40 something meters. Well, maybe not quite half. I think it was about 40 something meters of material if you use 20% infill, and then it was 73 meters if you do solid. But I'm not really worried either one about how much material and how much time it takes. I just want something that's solid, that I can stick it on there and know that it's gonna work. But I'll be playing around with those, I guess. Let's see. Landis says, do you put the settings for the fill in the slicer? Yes. Yeah. That's how you do it. Mark says, and he's talking about Andrew here. He says he's got limit switch mounts, dust shoes, motor spec. Yeah, you got a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, and all of it's its own Thingiverse, and all of it's up there free for you to download the models and 3D print it yourself. So Rob Schuster's here. Good morning. JR says, I think silly stuff like wire holders are, but none of the structure on a 150 is printed. Yeah. Well, that would make a good thing for 3D printed parts is stuff you use for the wire management and stuff like that. And then I know that what's that guy's name? Rowdy Roman, I think, makes uh, all kinds of accessories. I think for the Onefinity that are 3D printed. Okay, LB says my router mount is 25% infill with 15 wall count. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to play around with the settings and see. I'm not going to have time to do any of it today, but I will. Let's see. George says for the beginner, there are issues with the strength of 3D prints with different diameters at the joint point. You might say the weak link. Yeah. Well, a lot of the stuff like if you go to Thingiverse and download some little file to print or something, and it'll usually already be set with you know well just stuff like this where I didn't even program this. This was the test program, but this thing is hollow. I mean, there's and if you let's see, did I throw that thing away? Yeah, I've already thrown it away. The one where I was doing the cat and the filament ran out. So you look down in there, it's all hollow. It's just doing the shell. But like I said, stuff like this is just stuff somebody would print and just sit around, you know, to look at. It's not something you're going to use for something. So I don't want to make any of that stuff. I want to make stuff that I use, but anyway, I did see a guy who had a pretty nice little. The video is kind of, I think it's like a 10 or 12-minute video, so it's all kind of rushed through kind of quick. But he had designed the whole thing, 3D printed stuff, and then he used the aluminum extrusion, and he made I think it was like a 3x3 machine. And I don't know. I'm waiting to see what his follow-up video is because that was the last video he put out. But it looks like it would run pretty good. Mark says, okay, I'm a dummy. What is a wall count in 3D printing? There you go, LB. Answer that one for Mark because you can probably explain it better than I can. Well, he says, the great thing about printing router mounts is that you can custom design with tramming in mind. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can do that if you do it out of wood or aluminum too. You just have to think how you're going to do it. Yeah, you just George says you just sent him down another rabbit hole. Apparently, he didn't know that stuff was up there on Thingiverse. So, all right, we know what George's going to be doing this weekend. Let's see. Mark Lindsay, the actual solid parts in the side print, except bolt holes. Okay. And Sean says, Mark, it's the thickness of the shell of the print. Okay. All righty. Charles says, while printing the toolbox for my Ender 3 yesterday, we had a thunderstorm and the power went out twice and the print resumed printing both time and you could never tell where it started back. Yeah. Now I haven't, both of these back here have that resume print feature, but I haven't had to do it because of a power outage, but I have had to do it because the filament ran out. So I just kept an eye on it. And when the filament got down to where it was about this far away from going in the extruder, I paused it, pulled that out, fed some new stuff in, and kind of pushed on it a little bit to get it to ooze out just a little. And then hit resume, and it took right back off. I know it does it, but I always wondered how good it was going to work. But like you said, you can't, if you do it right, you can't tell. You can't really tell where it stops and where it starts, so, which is good. That's what you want it to do. Actually, I wonder what kind of toolbox thing you were doing, because I had seen it, and I didn't need it because I already have I have these on here, and I like these because they just slide. This little thing right here slides right into the end of the extrusion. And then you got all these little slots and stuff where you put your Allen wrenches and your opening wrenches, and even got a place to stick the little thing that holds the SD card, the USB thing. So, you can see them. I got one on each one of them. And these don't take all that long to print. But I was watching the video, and this guy had where the space is between the controller, you've got that empty space underneath the table. Well, he had a toolbox that is 3 pieces. You make the part that slides into the aluminum extrusion, and it tucks up under that under the table, and then it has a drawer, and then he also had a tray that was in a drawer, and it was pretty good size. It uses up that space pretty nice. So I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'll get that. But then 2 of the 3 parts take like, I think the main case took like 14 hours to print. And I'm like, I don't want to mess with, because I wouldn't want to run just one. I'd want to run one for each one of those. So, okay. Charles says that's the one I was printing. Now, again, I didn't see when you put that up. Are you talking about this one, or are you talking about the one I was just talking about? That's 3 pieces. Tyler Casey says, question, are you going to create an STL file to be able to print parts to construct your CNC router, possibly a desktop CNC? Is that question for me? I don't know. I'm just going to play around with some router mounts to start with and see, because I want to test it. Because I always kind of think, everything's plastic. How can it be that great? But the more I played around with this, I think if you do it, okay, George says that tool holder is pretty neat. Where did you get the STL? This one, it says, you can see it's got Creality on the front of it. This is just another one of the free things from Thingiverse. Just put, just when you go to Thingiverse, just search in their search box, put Ender 3 tool holder. And if you can't find it, let me know. I could always send it to you, but you can get it right there off of Thingiverse. Okay, Charles is the one I was holding. Okay. Yeah, that one doesn't take, I mean, it still takes 5 or 6 hours, I think, to print that one, but okay, Tyler says, "Question for me." I'm not, nah, I probably won't. If I did draw something up with a bunch of STL files to make one, it would just be for me. I wouldn't try to put something like that on the market probably. It'd be just me playing around, killing time. And I couldn't do it, if you're talking about doing it for my current CNC, the Gatton CNC, I don't have a bed near big enough to do any of those parts. You could do a few of them on a 3D printer, but you'd have to have one a lot bigger than this. So, yeah. Mark says, I can't think of anything structural on a Gatton that you'd want to 3D print. Yeah. Well, that's why I thought, most people that I've seen, the biggest 3D printed thing is either a dust shoe or, in some cases, a mount. But it's usually, if it's a mount, it's for those smaller ones. And I had this sitting out there, so I thought, well, I'll try this and see. Do a little experiment and see how it comes out. But it's not like I need one. I've got mounts pretty much for every router I've done. And when I say mounts, it's either a nice aluminum mount like that or it's plywood. So, all right. Well, that was my timer. I guess I'll get out of here. I appreciate y'all hanging with me this Friday morning. I got to get out there and get some work done. It's going to get hot. And my security camera just flipped to the driveway camera, and that's where I'm going to be working right there. And it's already right in the sun. So it's going to go get my vitamin D today, I guess. So anyway, y'all have a good weekend. If you're not doing nothing tomorrow night, I haven't even posted the thing. I haven't even created the thing, but we'll be doing another Q&A type thing. I'll probably do it from the shop again. And be doing the giveaway on a Jenny bit, I'm sure. So come hang out with us tomorrow night if you're not doing nothing, 9 p.m. Eastern on my other YouTube channel. So anyway, we'll see y'all then, and have a good one.